try to be truer, being in the moment, dive deep into the moment. And that's more than enough, because you'll never get bored by diving deep into the moment, because the moment has no bottom, how deep you can go.
And apart from that, honestly, I believe that you must do your job to your full potential, or in whatever manner you realize that full potential or the potential that you have, and then just, Hi, I'm Zain Khan.
Hello, my name is Adil Hussain.
And you're watching us
me
on
PeepingMoon.com.
PeepingMoon.com.
Hello everyone, welcome to PeepingMoon.com. I am Rashita, Sahni, and today joining me for a super interesting conversation are Zain Khan Durrani and Adil Hussain for their Z5 project Mukhbir. Hi you guys, how have you been?
Very well. We've been good. We've been busy with promotions, I suppose.
Yeah, I kept seeing that throughout the past 1 week.
Yeah.
But talking about, starting off with Mukhbir, I think when I watched the trailer, we were there in Amritsar for the launch. I felt that it has that, even though we have explored, of course, spy thrillers before in several shows and films, I thought there was this newness that was attached with that one. Only with the trailer I could feel that. But when the show was offered to you two, what was that one thing or maybe a series of things that prompted you two to be a part of it? We can start with you, Zain.
One, I don't think you'll find many actors who will say no to a spy series, and that to a main lead character. Doesn't take a lot more than that. But the cherry on the top of the cake was the fact that it was being directed by somebody like Shivam Nair, Jayaprat Desai, and their vision right from the start was to tell a very human story, to tell a story through a very intimate lens about a spy in the making, which you don't see too often.
Correct.
So the treatment was always going to be very different. That vision was always clear. But also the script, I suppose. The script was very enthralling on a lot of levels. So it was, I suppose you can say that, everything else apart from that was a plus point.
Adil sir, what about you?
Well, I grew up in a very small little town, and we had access to Bengali literature. And for some reason, I think every, 11, 12-year-old kids there, they would have this access to a specific magazine where there would be detective stories and spy stories. And Bengali writers were very good with that. So I grew up with that. And spy thrillers I watch a lot, like Second World War spy thrillers and all that. And I also ended up reading a lot about Indian spies, which are not many in terms of based on real stories. So when I was approached for the role, which is sort of inspired by mostly one person, but also had been taken from other people's lives as well. And he was a very enigmatic person, and he's extremely respected across the intelligence community in Europe, in India of course, but also abroad. And I, for some reason, had ended up reading about him before I was approached. So I was like, yes, let's do this.
Perfect. But when something's inspired by true events that we see in the trailer as well as written, does that as actors, I know it's more to do with the writers and who's making everything and the director, but as actors, do you also feel like an added responsibility on your shoulders? Because if it's inspired by true events, you would want to do it the correct way and show it in the correct manner.
I don't think we had any references like that. I was not asked to read that book either. That the book that sort of sowed the seed of the idea of the series in Shivam sir's mind and the writers. So I did not per se have had anything to sort of in terms of a bouncing board. So yes, the responsibility is per se for the character, for the fact that you see the story through his lens, Harfan's lens, which the character that I play, you see the events unfold around him, And in that way, I suppose every character sort of brings a certain amount of responsibility to you. But here, also the fact that I must add here that the character I'm playing is apart from the usual stencil of the spies. It is more about the making of a spy, and also a spy that comes from early 60s India, when India did not have the economic tools that it
Yeah.
has today. Um, so there's a huge difference in terms of the stories and the thrillers that you would see today or that you have seen foreign cinema making and this. So I had a bit of a free rein in terms of taking the character wherever the script was allowing me to take it.
I think the best part of spy real characters, even if you are asked to play, it's not Mahatma Gandhi or not Indira Gandhi or whose faces are in a public memory. They are not in public memory. So the advantage of that is that you can also shape the way you feel is correct in consultation with the makers, with the directors, with the writers. So I had this sort of image of this man that on which my character is based, not based but inspired. I'm not allowed to say even based, so I'll say inspired by. He was very, very accomplished and very charming, very intelligent, witty, funny, humor. So those are the human elements that I tried to, and also was written for us to sort of take a leap using that as a springboard. So no, I didn't have that sort of responsibility on my shoulder, like, oh my God, I have to fit into the patra of this specific man who is known so much in India.
That must happen a lot when you're playing somebody who is
Historically.
One or somebody who's alive.
Oh, so he's alive, exactly. Oh my
No,
God.
I mean,
I played one such character, I remember. I played Amod Kant. He was the IPS officer who captured and trapped Charles Shobraj. And I met him several times, this man whom I played. And the best compliment I got was from his wife. He said, "Oh my God, you are much better than my husband." So that was fun. I was like, there you go. Yeah.
Wouldn't have been very good for him, but yeah,
Yeah.
for you
Yeah.
definitely
No,
the best
didn't
compliment.
like that compliment at all.
He was a generous man. He said, yeah, I understand why my wife is saying
That's
that.
very, very generous of her to do that.
Yeah.
Nice. But also, if we talk about this genre, thriller in general, a lot of times I feel I'm watching something and I just don't feel very engrossed. I also feel a little disappointed if I come to know what's going to happen next. And if I'm correct, then I'm like, damn. So, with thrillers, this is there, that happens. Of course, with other genres, I don't think in particular this situation might arrive. But what, according to you, will keep the audiences at the edge of their seats when they watch Mukhbir? If one point each y'all can give in.
Like I said earlier, yes, it's a thriller. Yes, there's suspense in it. But the point of the series is this will shake you up on an emotional level as well. I think that is more major in terms of what the series is offering.
So the emotional quotient.
Absolutely.
Is what you're talking about.
I think, and right from the start, I think the makers set out to make something which spoke of these stories on a much more human, much more intimate level.
Yeah.
We do know about sacrifices from here and there, but do we truly understand the weight of the sacrifice? Do we truly understand what happens to their lives and to the lives that they enter? We talk about collaterals, and we say that collateral is either losing a life or something, but collateral is not often just that. It's a lot more at times. It's, collaterals may be living human beings who face loss, face deception, and it can be quite jarring.
Yeah.
It can be quite disturbing. So it speaks to you on a lot of levels. It speaks to you about a journey a human being undergoes and rises up to the occasion. So I suppose along with that thrill, along with that roller coaster ride and suspense, you will find a very emotionally packed series.
Fantastic. So what do you think will work the best?
Very similar to him. I just feel that problem which you said, that if you can predict the next scene or maybe towards the end that, this is going to happen. That happens only when the makers are trying to narrate the story in an eventful way, like event after event after event. But when it becomes a character study, like you focus and then zoom in to the nitty-gritty and the nuances of a character, then it becomes universal and also so engaging for every human being who would identify those emotions. You know, so, oh, okay, the edge of the seat is not only because it is a fast thriller, you know, it is also the tension which is being taken because of the life and death stakes which this person or everybody else and the magnitude of the stake of the country is involved in it. So the emotional connect makes it way more engaging than the thriller style, which is also engaging, I'm sure, but it's a bit superficial engaging. In this way, there would remain a very deep impact on the audience that who would watch it.
Understood, definitely. But then talking about you sharing screen space with actors that carry so much credibility with their names and comparatively being, of course, newer to them. How was it on set? Did you ever inculcate anything in terms of acting from maybe Adil sir or Prakash sir?
That you should not say in front of me. You know? Just talk about Prakash ji.
Absolutely, I will avoid. But I would like to say that as an actor, you have to constantly keep observing. You don't just learn from human beings, you learn from situations, you learn from observing different things. You can, you know, from reading, from, you know, be it the news, be it this, that, anything that expands your mind, anything that expands your horizons. What do you learn from people who have the kind of experience and credibility like Adil sir and Prakash sir is, I think it brings a lot of humility to you. You realize that there is so much to be done, and you want to be like them when you reach that point.
Correct.
You want to be more, because it's one thing that I have observed about them is their childlike quality, their eagerness to learn, their understanding that there is yet more to be learned. And I firmly believe in the fact that human being dies a death when they think that they know.
Yeah, they know it all.
But having met these gentlemen, to have worked with them, my belief is sort of ratified that one has to keep learning, one has to keep at it, because I can see, and when I talk to them, when I interact with them, when I observe them, I see that there is a constant process, there's a constant journey that they're on by themselves as actors and human beings, and they're very committed to that journey. And I think that is the biggest takeaway, to remain honest to your own personal journey, and I suppose learn along the way.
Also other way around, because if I may, in front of his face, I shouldn't badmouth him, but I would. Like when I first saw him in Glasgow, we were shooting a film called Bell Bottom, and I see this, you know, wonderful gentleman, you know, handsome man, and then when I interacted with him, because he had to do an audition for something, so I said, okay, we help each other out, and I read the other part and, you know, put the camera and all. So then I realized that the kind of stability, I call it stability, a sense of silence and sense of, in Hindi it's very Urdu, I guess, Therao. Which is very rare to see in a young man like him, like of your age. There are people, I'm sure, but I haven't met too many of them who has that degree of stability. Like you cannot shake that person easily. And I think it's a very rare quality. And I was wondering, I wish I was like him when I was his age. You know what I mean? I had to really work hard in order to have a certain amount of quietude, if you may say, or a certain amount of, poise, which everybody is, if someone is curious about the art of acting, then one is constantly learning. And I didn't know how he does it, but it's inspiring to see that.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
But just extending that question to you as well. So
It's a
sweet.
fan club.
Yeah.
I'm the fanboy.
You know, there is a credibility that is attached with your name. You have been working for so long, but has that ever put any sort of added pressure on your shoulders that I have
I
to
want to know that.
I have to give my best in everything that I do, because people do expect that.
I know. Well, I was telling that story the other day on the 5th. There was a talk in the Prithvi Theatre. My teacher, he's my Dronacharya. And so my teacher said that, Adil, don't try to be brilliant.
I get tired.
Don't try to be brilliant. You get bored by being brilliant. Try to be truer. Being in the moment, dive deep into the moment. And that's more than enough, because you'll never get bored by diving deep into the moment, because the moment has no bottom, how deep you can go. So the pressure is not there anymore. It used to be there around 8 years ago. But that one, some very, very magical incident happened once. And from that day, that responsibility of like, oh, I have to prove myself, I have to be good, I have to be brilliant, it just left my shoulder. And even if I fail, I'm okay. I mean, we all fail and we all succeed, and it's okay. You're just acting. You're not like, you know, you don't have the switch of the nuclear bomb in your hand.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, in your hand. You know, you're like just acting. Just take it easy. Don't be so serious about it.
I think that's how you make it look so effortless, because you truly believe in that.
I truly do. I mean, I had no choice. I had been made to believe in a very, very torturous way. Yes. The fear left of trying to be good or to prove myself. Yeah.
But of course, lastly, before going, I'd like to ask is that everyone has certain expectations from the work they do. If I ask you to, what do you expect out of Mukhbir, what would that be?
I hope it conveys the story that especially the makers set out to tell and convey. I hope it moves people as it moved me while I was in the process of doing it. And apart from that, honestly, I believe that you must do your job to your full potential, or in whatever manner you realize that full potential or the potential that you have, and then just, you know, try to detach from the outcome as much as you can, because you have to keep moving.
Of course,
Yeah.
definitely. So what?
Yes, of course, what he said. And also that there are so many unsung heroes we have in India, everywhere in the world, including people, those who are planting trees, or the farmers, or teachers and nurses and frontline workers. We have seen that during COVID time, and people, those who build our houses and roads and all of them. Not many stories are being made on these amazing people. Also, the character that he plays, those are also unsung heroes. As Prakashji very beautifully puts it, I'm going to quote him here. He says that a person like, a character like this, he must not be known in the country where he belongs to. He must not be known where he works in another country. And whatever he accomplishes, that also must not be known. So it is almost like you don't exist. In spite of that, you know, you work so hard. In spite of that, you give your life to it. And then you have to have a dedication, monumental dedication and love for the country. And I hope that through this series, that audience would understand that and will find a newfound respect for all these people.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for this meaningful conversation. I'm sure Mukhbir will. I can see it in your, in your answers, that there's a lot of passion, hard work,
Yeah.
love that has gone into making it. I hope it does as good as we expect it to. But thank you so much for joining us at PeepingMoon.
Thank
Absolute
you so much
pleasure.
for
Most
having
welcome.
us.